Hello, everyone. Welcome. Here with me today, I have three friends. We have quite the spectrum today. People who range from total Song of Ice and Fire fans who've read all the books and someone who has never read any of the books. I want to introduce yourselves real quick, starting with Peach,
Oh, why me?
because you read all the books.
Oh, okay. I'm Peach. I've read all the books and all the tertiary material and the secondary material and all the shows and the Blu-ray extras.
We also have Zia.
I was going to say we sure have a spectrum here, all right. But I was going to say I am somewhat familiar. I've watched all the shows. I've read a Game of Thrones, and I've read the prologue to A Clash of Kings. And I've skimmed the Wikipedia way too much. All my knowledge is really patchy.
So Zia, I guess, is in the middle of our spectrum. And then we also have Miranda.
And my tagline is, I don't know shit about shit.
It's a fantastic tagline. Well, so I'm so glad to have the three of you here with me while we embark on this endeavor. I have a list of all of the named swords in Song of Ice and Fire, and we are going to rank them, beginning with Blackfire. What do we think of the sword Blackfire? We can't tell Miranda what it is. Actually, so let's do it in this way. Let's do it in this order. We'll get Miranda's thoughts first, and then Zia's, and then Peach and I will weigh in for each of the swords.
So we're kind of doing it just a complete vibes based.
Absolutely
Yes.
vibe-based.
I am very good at vibes.
Okay.
Blackfire sounds pretty cool.
Zia, do you agree with that? With that
I
take?
think Blackfire is very cool sounding, neat sword, and also the fact that Aegon the third, fourth did the funniest thing in history before he died. And that sword is all part of it too. So I'd say like an A or S tier. I think it's just fucking cool.
What do you think, Peach?
How much time you got?
I mean,
How much can I say about the Sword of Kings, the blade that fused the seven kingdoms together? Anyway, no, it's a sword wielded by only the apparently powerful. It's the Sword of Kings. It's the symbol of Targaryen power. Da 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 da. Also wielded by some of the biggest dorks in Westerosi history. Number one being Aegon the Fourth giving it to Daemon Blackfire.
That
the
move-
funniest thing. The funniest thing in history.
Aegon the Fourth, known as Aegon the Unworthy. Zia is correct in naming Aegon the Fourth Aegon the fucking clown.
I call him Aegon
yeah.
4. It's fewer words.
Egg 4.
Egg 4.
4 eggs.
This guy was just a total jerk who cheated on his wife a whole bunch. And he gave this sword, which was like passed down and was like the conqueror's sword. He gave it to one of his bastards and then legitimized all his bastards on his deathbed, which started decades of civil war.
But we're not talking about Aegon for the funny. We're talking about the sword.
That's true. The sword is based. Are we saying like A tier?
I think it should be an A or S. If you think of Valyrian swords, it's like one of the top ones next to like ice.
It is missing. That's a point against it. We don't know where the fuck it is.
But does that make it cooler? More mysterious? Or maybe just somewhere random and nobody cares?
It's at the bottom of the...
Where do we...
No,
Does John Con
no,
have
right?
it? Or no, the
No.
Golden Company has it.
No,
No.
no. The Golden Company I thought had it.
Golden Company had it.
As Mira says,
Yeah.
I've read all the books. There were civil wars. Did Ares have it?
Did Ares the Second, the Mad King, have Blackfire?
Did
New
he,
theory?
He sent Varys. That actually would be a really cool video. Coming soon to the Mira Reads channel, everybody. Did Ares the Second secretly get Blackfire back?
Parentheses, Blackfire mystery solved. Exclamation mark.
Parentheses, maybe.
Not clickbait.
So yeah, it's last with Chud Steel, Bitter Steel, with the Golden Company, and since then it has been quote-unquote missing. However, Illyrio talks to Tyrion before he leaves and is like, oh, there's things that he must know, things that young Griff must know about, his ancestry, things such as a sword, and it's all fucking mysterious.
We do love Illyrio. Ooh, this is
I don't.
actually... I mean, I love him as a character. I wouldn't want to, hang out with him. But this is a good place to plug my other gimmick. Everybody in the audience, once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I will be doing an ASMR reading of one of the preview chapters, and everyone who is a patron on my Patreon will get to vote for which chapter I will be reading. So everybody hit that subscribe button to get me to 1,000, and subscribe on the Patreon so you can help select which chapter I'm going to do.
Good segue.
Oh, thank you. Next up, we have Bright Roar. I have feelings about this, but we're going to start with Miranda.
Honestly, I think it sounds kind of dumb. It's giving me the lion from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's giving me that vibe.
Oh, I almost said
Oh,
Lazarus, but he was the other zombie.
No, it's it's something like, it starts with
Aslan.
A. Aslan, yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Zia, what do you think?
I thought Miranda was going to try to place it first. I don't know if we're giving our personal ranks and then doing it, or if we're doing it communal. I actually don't know what this is, but based on it, it's almost certainly like a Lannister sword, which means it's lame as fuck, so it's probably like D or C. Yeah, that's my guess. I genuinely don't know what sword this is, whose sword this is, or what it's relevant to. I might be dumb or forgetting something.
No, that was right on the fucking money.
This is a really fun game. I'm enjoying this.
I'm assuming it's Tywin's, because Bright Roar just sounds like such like it sounds like a really Tywin like annoying sword name that just like screams Lannister douchery. So probably C or D.
I love that we just equated Tywin Lannister with Jesus.
Fictional C.S. Lewis Jesus, yeah.
Yeah,
Shout
there's one character in A Song of Ice and Fire who embodies the Christian son of God. It's Tywin Lannister.
Looking over all the people that were there before him.
I mean, actually, Miranda's here spitting some real truths. This is why we needed a, what's it called when you do an experiment?
Control group.
Thank you. This is why we needed a control group, because Miranda's spot on with a lot of this.
I got vibes for days.
Peach, what do you think?
Well, first of all, Zia, you're right on the money with it being a Lannister sword. It's pretty fucking chudful. I know. I said that about Blackfire.
Which one is not chudful, bro?
There are several swords on this list that are not chudful. I don't think it's F. So Bright Roar was a Lannister sword that they had before the Doom that some people theorize was... I don't want to go on too long of a tangent, but there was a fucking like prophecy that the gold of Casterly Rock would lead to the downfall of Valyria. And not long after the Lannisters got this sword, you know, the Doom happened. So anyway, the Doom happened because a Lannister was like, oh, Valyria is doomed. I will go plunder and steal all the wealth from its shores, and I will be back. And he, like, took the sword with him, because he's like, I will slay whatever is there. And then he fucking got lost, because it's a smoking wasteland.
Honestly,
So-
though, the Doom of Valyria was probably like a good thing, so you just bumped it up another tier.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I totally forgot that it's actually a big plot point that the Lannisters don't have any Valyrian swords.
Yeah.
The two that I'm not going to spoil to keep Miranda.
Well,
Which also incredibly funny that this like thing that's worth entire armies, not even like peasant houses will sell them to Tywin Lannister just out of spite.
Based.
I also want to like shout out to Miranda for identifying not only that it was like an animal, but that it was like a lion. That she got like lion main character energy just from this name. I think that is fantastic.
The other question is, are there any notable Lannisters that wielded this that did anything? Or is it just the Valyria thing?
No, fuck them.
I can't believe I forgot that plot point. I'm like, oh yeah, it is a big thing. The Lannisters just don't have Valyrian swords, even though they're a huge house. Yeah, and I'm like, oh yeah. Even though I'm like, Bright Roar is absolutely a Lannister weapon. Like,
It's another plot point that Tyrion's uncle, Garion, or Jerion, or as I like to call him, Jerry, went fucking missing looking for it. So
Pete, that's
no.
totally incorrect. I call him Gary.
Oh,
No, I'm
you're
joking.
still right, his name is Greg. Greg Lannister.
Dennis Targaryen.
Garrett?
Damn fair.
That's
These
how
are
he's...
going to be names in like just a few years, just so y'all know.
Oh yeah, people name their kid Khaleesi.
People named their kid Daenerys.
I mean, Daenerys is bad, but Khaleesi is worse. It's like
so, yeah.
it's like naming your kid Mayor.
It's
I
like
gotta
naming your
find
kid
something that
Spock. It's a fictional thing. Like, just because it's in another language doesn't mean it's not fictional.
Yeah, don't name your kid Khaleesi, everybody. Or Daenerys. You can name your kid Mira, though. It's a good name.
That was Miranda.
Miranda's good, too. Miranda here on the show, there's a Miranda in the books who's a fantastic character, and I love her. And there's a Miranda in the show who is a sociopath. So everybody in the audience, if you're going to name your kid Miranda, make sure it's the Miranda from the books. Or better, Miranda from The Tempest.
Miranda in the shows is...
Or me.
Or Miranda on this show.
Miranda in the show, that's Ramsey's concubine girlfriend or whatever, right?
Girlfriend, yeah. We could just
Okay,
we just say
so-
girlfriend here.
Girlfriend, I don't know, whatever it would be,
Fun fact of things that I forgot before this. I watched the first 3 seasons of the show.
Oh, it's ruined.
It's not ruined because I don't remember shit.
She
I
doesn't
don't
know
know
shit
shit
about
about
shit. Jinx. Well, what do you know about Dark Sister, Miranda?
It sounds badass. It feels something assassin related.
Whoa. Hey, what do you think, Zia?
I think Dark Sister goes in S for Slay. Really simply. I mean, it's too easy. I mean, you look, like, I watch House of Dragon and you look at Matt Smith and it's beautiful. And then also I like Visenya.
You like Visenya.
Visenya's all... I like Visenya. I mean, Damon's trying really hard, but I really just like Visenya,
All right.
But yeah, it's a cool sword. Edgy name. I love it.
I'm a Damon stan. It's okay. We can be Damon stans here on the Mirror Reads channel.
Yeah.
I have a few problematic faves. I recognize that they're problematic. So it's mostly
All of mine are.
Sandor Clegane and Daemon Targaryen, the Rogue Prince. Peach, do you have that on your soundboard?
I do not.
Oh, we gotta get that.
She was setting you up too.
What do you think, Peach?
All right. So I like Dark Sister. However, I think that the number of insane people that have wielded Dark Sister like slightly edges out over the number of insane people who have wielded Blackfire.
Which makes it S tier, right?
Okay,
Oh my
Counterpoint, okay? Those people looked really good while doing insane things. Okay?
Like, sure. It looked like you're doing a super slay. However, it was wielded by Daemon. It was wielded by Bloodraven. It was wielded by Visenya, who was like Warcrime McGrime before the other two Warcrime McGrimes.
I need to know if I was right on assassin vibes.
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying to get a picture for
Bloodraven?
you.
Yeah, 100%.
Bloodraven, Daemon, and Visenya all had assassin vibes.
For reference, this sword was first wielded by Westeros' first Dami Mommy, one could say.
Noise.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Potentially a witch, but yeah.
Even better. Pete, you just keep saying things that make me want this in S more than I already did beforehand.
Yeah, and now that I'm remembering, like, I think... Didn't Viserys' father have Dark Sister? Because Aemon would have been... Yeah. Jaehaerys had... I'm doing, like, timelines in my head. Yeah, alright, it's a cool sword, and I hope it pops back up in the main story. Alright, no, okay, it is S tier because of the thing that I can't say that will happen later on in House of the Dragon. It's S tier for that alone.
We can probably say it.
I
Spoilers,
don't wanna
spoilers,
say it.
spoilers.
We really should have gone artist renditions and official, show pictures of these swords too.
That would have taken, planning and a forethought, Zia.
Oh, you're right.
So there's Visenya. Definitely assassin vibes.
Slay.
And there's Dark Sister. Who do we have next? We have Dawn. What do you think, Miranda?
Okay, so this one, ever since I saw it, I've been thinking about Dawnbreaker from Skyrim.
A new hand
which is
touches the beacon.
Oh, fuck. So, I have a story with Dawnbreaker.
Yeah.
When I first played, I was, so excited about this sword, and then I kept getting screamed at by fucking those Draugr priests, and it knocked it out of my hand, and then it just disappeared in the room. So, I have, something against this sword.
I feel like that's legitimate. You'll never have it back.
Wow, that's thematically rich.
It is thematically rich. What do you think, Zia?
Dawn is really cool. I'm so glad that Darkstar does not have this weapon.
Yet.
I know, true. I'm conflicted because on one hand, I want to say that, the Danes are, dumb. But on the other hand, I think they're incredibly funny and kind of cool. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know a
don't
lot
know.
of people like that.
Fuck, I forgot the coolest part about it. Okay, it's forged from a piece of meteorite. That's really cool.
Thank you. If
Probably,
you weren't
like-
gonna say it, I was gonna lose my mind.
I was like, I'm trying to remember. I'm going through like the history. Like, what do I know about Dawn? Like, it's made of meteorite. It's like A tier. That's automatic A. Anything forged from meteorite is fucking cool. That alone, and like Arthur Dane, I guess was cool with it. So yeah, A for Arthur Dane. There you go.
If you don't put that shit in S tier right now, it is A, a meteor sword. 2, possibly the sword that, ended the long night, if we are to believe some theory crafters in the world. It's like Valyrian steel, but is told to us that it is uniquely not Valyrian steel because it came from a fucking meteor again. Did I mention it came from a meteor?
Yes.
And the even cooler part is that it's not like some, chudful Blackfire sword where it's like, it just goes to the next, king in line, supposedly. No, they wait until someone is worthy of having the sword to give them the sword. They have to prove themselves before they get... There he is. There's Artie.
Yep.
Okay, this is very Dawnbreaker vibes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, everything about it.
Milk glass. It's supposed to be like super pale and white, which is different than than the other Valyrian steel swords which have like Damascus-like ripples. This is
I love that you said
fantasy
Damascus-like
incarnate.
ripples.
Interesting.
That's what it's described as, right?
I know exactly what he means.
I don't think it says Damascus in the book. I think fans have described it that way. I just like that you know that.
You wanted to have a nerd opinion on this chat. I'm
did.
gonna give you the nerd opinion on this.
I wasn't being
you
sarcastic.
telling me?
I'm really glad that you're here.
Peach, are you telling me that Valyrian steel might just straight up be Damascus, but George just, took it and put it into his universe?
Fantasy Damascus.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's described as folded, like ripples in the steel, and it looks like it's folded, and that is what, how we modern day, replicate what Damascus looks like.
A thing to add, I think the funny thing about Dawn, and I didn't realize this because I totally forgot about all the other theory stuff with it being, is that Dawn is essentially your stereotypical, like, hero's fantasy sword, but it's unique because it's Game of Thrones,
Of course.
It's like a concentrated piece of fantasy in this otherwise gritty, real hellscape. And then I see Dawn, and I see the Danes, and I'm like, OMG, goodness does exist in the world.
No. Too
I
bad.
totally forgot that part. Maybe it should be, yeah, I agree with S tier because I totally forgot about all the other stuff because thematically it would make sense with how everything else, and from what I understand of A Song of Ice and Fire.
And
That'd be
also, I helped Tom, Zach, and Andy Sketcher. Andy Sketcher gave us the baseline. There are only a few things described as looking like milk glass in all of Song of Ice and Fire, and Andy Sketcher was the one who first noticed that, so shout out to her for that. And it was her theory originally. So we looked at, without spoiling the theory, we looked at Dawn, which is described as milk glass, and this other thing that's described as milk glass, and then we built it from there. So anyway, that'll be linked in the description. But yes, I agree with all of you. Dawn is cool. And Miranda is 4 for 4 in just blindly knowing where these things are gonna go and like what they're about. I think this is very cool. Let's see, we have next Heart Eater. I'm kind of going in alphabetical order. So what do you think about Heart Eater, Miranda?
So this one has had my attention since you sent the list. I like this one.
Yeah?
Yeah. It sounds like something that bad people would have, but like the type of bad people that are acting from their own place of like honor. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's kind of how I feel about Daemon Targaryen.
Like a lawful evil or something like that.
Or
almost.
Like they're doing bad
evil.
things for the right reasons.
Evil, but they look really good when they do it. Yeah.
I feel like that's almost like could even be chaotic good. Like they're breaking the law, like Robin Hood.
Yeah, whatever.
I know Glidus disagrees with me on this, but like, okay, we're going to take a moment. We're going to talk about Daemon Targaryen because this is my channel and we could do that here. So, spoilers for anybody who hasn't watched season 1 of House of the Dragon yet. I'm sure you've all seen it. Or if you haven't, I'm sorry. Spoilers. So, in the first episode, Viserys orders for Aemma to have a primitive C-section and basically orders for his wife to be murdered because he wants a son. when Damon is presented with the same choice for his wife, he lets her choose. And I know that by modern day metrics and standards, like, oh, like letting your wife have autonomy over her own body, like, you know, the bar is on the floor, but we're comparing him to his own brother, right? And I think that is one of those moments where, like, yeah, I think Daemon was the better man than Viserys. So yeah, I do think equal parts light and dark. There's some other cope that goes into that, but that is one instance, I think, where Daemon did the right thing. But so, Zia, what do you think about Heart Eater?
Heart Eater. I don't know whose sword this is or what this is. I feel like I'm trying to get like the vibe of what this would be. I'm almost leaning towards like it's really edgy, but also kind of romantic in a way. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the cannibalism, romance kind of thing, which is a big thing.
Everybody's favorite kind.
Yeah, it's real. And cannibalism is a big metaphor in A Song of Ice and Fire, from what I understand.
Says the person who didn't read the 5th book.
Exactly. From what I understand, from what I have been told about A Dance of Dragons, there's a lot of cannibalism. So it's kind of romantic. So like on one hand, I'm like, that's really edgy, but I think it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna go with A tier for romance, I think.
Romance.
On this one. Yeah.
All right, what do you say, Peach?
All right, so sorry, Zia, wrong.
Oh no!
But Miranda was half right.
Half right. So this is, if I remember, this is Joffrey's sword. This is Joffrey's sword before he gets Widow's Wail, right? Or sorry, spoilers for later.
Yeah. It's the sword he gets when he's gonna fight Stannis.
Okay, yeah, because I remember the name of his first one, which I'm not going to spoil for later. But yeah, this is the other sword that he has before he gets another sword.
I want to show you something really funny. So
Heart Eater.
When I first went through the books on audiobook rather than reading it, and I was never sure whether he was saying heart like Heart or heart like HART like a deer, because it's always in reference to Stannis. Like the fiery heart and Heart Eater. I was like, what is he? Did he take this other deer as his sigil, like the white heart? I was so confused, and then very disappointed to find out that it was like HEART Eater. Because like,
why isn't it heart? Wait, that'd be so much funnier. Because when you said Heart Eater at first, I was thinking like that sounds very Baratheon kind of. Like maybe it is. I don't know.
Because it was the sword he got to kill his Baratheon uncle, right? It should have been Heart Eater. I feel like we got to take it down a couple pegs just for that missed opportunity.
That's sad.
Does Joffrey like scream as the kind of person that would have the logic and like understanding of symbology? Sorry, I said to
have that kind of depth of thought.
Like it probably went something like, I want it to be called Heart Eater, and then
because it eats hearts.
Yeah, like whatever, like blacksmith, the red keypad is like, oh, I get it, like heart, and doing the same, explanation that you are. And he's like, no, it's because it's gonna eat his heart when I shove it through his heart. It's gonna eat his heart, and the guy just keeps pounding away at the steel. Going, motherfucker!
I totally forgot that the Baratheon thing is the heart is one of the sigil part for it. That would make way more sense. So that's a Baratheon one. Missed L opportunity
ratio.
Yeah,
ratio Joffrey.
But so again, Miranda was right that this is a villain sword.
Yes. D.
And like,
personally.
Okay, let me describe the vibe better. I agree with D, by the way. The vibe that I was going for is like someone who like, they really believe in what they're doing, regardless of whether it's right. They think it's the most right thing that they could ever do with themselves.
Oh, definitely.
That gives his vibe.
I'm really sad it wasn't a more like romantic kind, but of course it's boring, literal,
I'm not really finding a picture, but I'm not really sure it needs one.
I don't know.
We all know
Did
what
they cut
Joffrey
that
looks
from
like.
the show entirely?
I think so. Yeah, so we did a game of A Song of Feuds and Families, and one of the categories was what's the worst sword name? And I said Bright Roar. I was like, that name fucking sucks. And I lost that round. The rest of the voting pool did not agree with me, but there was some discrepancy over whether Heart Eater was in the book or the show. It's definitely in the book.
It's in the show.
It's in the show. Which one's not in the show?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to it.
I don't ever recall Heart Eater, so it's probably not in the show.
I can guarantee you it's in the show.
Well, did he name it though, or did he just say Santa kiss my sword?
He said Santa kissed my sword. It's Heart Eater.
Yeah,
it will
but
eat
he
my
did that.
uncle's heart.
That's so dumb.
Sure? I swear he did that with the other sword because he's taunting him about the thing that I don't want to spoil for Miranda because it's even more fucked up.
Wait,
you know?
Next up we have Heartsbane.
It feels like the opposite.
Oh. Could you elaborate? So we have Heart Eater is like the complex villain vibe. So like Heartsbane, would that be like a paladin? I'm not trying to like lead you.
I come with receipts.
No, you're good.
I come with receipts. Check chat. I come with receipts, Sia. Sorry. I didn't.
What the
Oh my
fuck?
gosh, what is this? Oh my god, it's real.
Okay.
It's here.
It doesn't necessarily feel like a good guy sword. It feels like a third party.
Oh, okay. Zia, what do you
Like
think?
some fucking body else.
Yeah.
I forget whose sword this. I think it's Brienne's though, isn't it? I think it's her original sword before she gets the other one. It's not.
No.
Oh my god! Whose sword is this? Stannis's. I don't know. I totally forget whose sword this is. I don't know. It's kind of boring unless I remember who it is, and then I bet Peach is about to drop a mountain of knowledge, and it's actually, it's really deep and interesting.
Peach
and
is about to school you.
Yeah, I know. He's about to be like, actually, Heartsbane is this character's sword. And it's really deeply thematic because they have XYZ thing, and it's like, okay, fuck me.
Why the fuck am I here if you're just gonna roast yourself? Do my job for me.
She's preempting you, Peach.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just forget whose it is, so fuck me, you know?
She's seasoning the steak before I slap that shit on the grill with a 3-pointer.
From downtown.
Anyway, actually, this belongs to House Tarly.
A third party.
Oh, some fucking body else.
Yeah, see, Miranda was right again. I'm loving this. This is amazing.
This is what happens when you pull a psychic from the show.
Yeah. Zia, this is the sword that Sam steals from...
I get it now. I get it now. I know who it is, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why it's named this, and it's thematic, because this, I get it.
That's the thing. In the show, it's really not fucking thematic, because he just fucking passes it off to Jorah, so that Jorah has something to use during the long night, the long 2 hours.
So you can go out like a chump? Yeah,
so we can go out bitch-made. God, that episode's so fucking stupid.
It was another missed opportunity too, because House Tarly, their sigil is the huntsman, right? They hunt deer. And again, it's Heart Bane, and I'm like, the fuck, Martin? It was right there. It was just staring you in the face. Heartsbane.
Listen, his whole MO is to fuck with his readers, so...
That's true.
Correct.
So where do we think Heartsbane ought to go?
I want to dork out on Heartsbane for just a little bit more.
Oh,
while you're
absolutely,
deliberating,
absolutely.
if that's okay.
Yeah,
For
I
the
want to
audience-
hear Peach's deep analysis on this.
That image was from Wiki of Ice and Fire. I'm just trying to cite my sources. But by all means.
Yeah, so a problem that I had with the show in their depiction of Valyrian steel anything, and it's even a problem I kind of have with Hot D's presentation of Blackfire. Every single sword is a fucking arming sword. And for those of you who don't know, an arming sword is essentially a sword that can be held in one hand. It's meant to be held in one hand while you have a shield in the other. That's an arming sword. The only sword that is anything like other than that in the show, to a reasonable degree, is Longclaw, which looks like a bastard sword. It looks like a hand-and-a-half sword.
What about ice?
Well, yeah, actually, ice is an execute. Actually, we haven't gotten there yet. Fuck, we didn't get to Longclaw either. Anyway, Heartsbane is described as a longer sword. It's, I think it's a two-hander, if not a hand-and-a-half. So it's just like every single sword. And even in the show, they made it an arming sword. They made it a one-handed sword that the characters are using two hands for, because, you know, when you're sword fighting, you want leverage, so you can use two hands, yada, yada, yada. But every single sword is just like the same generic shape. And I just wish they would have leaned into, someone has to fight differently with this. Someone has to use this differently. There's different shapes for weapons, and they all use just one-handed swords. I want to see some difference, goddammit.
What are you saying, Peach? The show fucked something up? Like all the dragons looked alike? All the swords were the same? How could you say that, Peach?
No, Dragon Show good.
Dragon Show only had 4 seasons. That's canon on the Mirror Reads channel.
Dragon Show good. Dragon Show just let some production design things slip through the cracks.
Like all the dragons looking the same, and all the swords looking the same, and
yeah,
and nothing mattered after season 4. But anyway,
I should be able to. Ooh, and we'll get to it when we get to the Lannister. So we'll get to it with later swords. But there's some really cool design anime shit that they pull in the books in regards to some swords that they don't for the show, and it made me sad.
Oh, I was waiting for the thematic part. I love the production design part of it, though, because that's such a Peach thing to talk about. But I was wondering thematically about Heartsbane, though, with being the Tarly sword and everything.
Oh, well, I mean, the only real thematic thing is that it was supposed to, theoretically supposed to go to Sam, but his dad didn't think Sam was cool enough or macho enough. So, if anything, it's a statement on how toxic masculinity and the expectations of a abusive father on his son can have disastrous effects to Sam, and made him join the Night's Watch. The Night's Watch would be worse off because they wouldn't have found the Horde of Jor. The whole Gilly anything wouldn't have happened.
Wait. The what?
The Horn of Jor.
The Horn of George?
Yeah, the Horn of George. We're shortening everyone's names. We got to make this applicable for Miranda. We can't, be talking about these names that don't even make sense to us.
The Horn of Georgiaman.
The Horn of George R. R. Martin.
Oh my god! What if...
When you blow the horn, the wall doesn't come down. Winds comes out. Anyway.
Winds comes out! Did you just make a fart joke?
No, I made winds. I guess I accidentally made a winds joke. Did I do a funny?
You made a fart joke. Anyway,
let's fucking talk about ice. Cut that entire bit out.
I was gonna
please.
say, couldn't you say that Heartsbane represents the fact that Sam is could be considered the heart of the series, and that it's a bane to him? I don't fucking know, something like that.
You may be
his bane.
Because he's heartless. Was that what you were getting at, Peach? I'm sorry, I was looking at pictures of swords.
No, I was getting at the point of like, if people weren't dicks to some characters, some things wouldn't happen. But that's just storytelling. I was like putting myself in a self-destructive loop of feeling bad for Sam.
Mm-hmm. Is Sam not still in the book? I'm guessing not, because it's a weird point that he does that in the show. Does that not happen in the books?
Nah. Because in the show, Randall's at home when in the book, Randall is off doing a war. So he has the sword with him. It's not just chilling above a fireplace.
Oh.
Yeah. So the sword's active in the world. We miss out on cute Gilly dinner shenanigans in the book.
Oh no.
Wait. I don't know a lot about swords.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a picture of Ice from the show, and I'm gonna ask... Well, actually, let's ask Miranda what she thinks about Ice, and then we'll show the picture and talk about Ice.
Okay, so the obvious thing is it feels like the opposite of Dawn, but I don't know that makes it less cool.
I'm sorry. That was a very cool thing you just said. I'll shut up.
It feels like equal to or close to Dawn to me.
But opposite?
Yeah, like opposite vibe, for sure.
Oh my god.
But like, still cool.
That's amazing. Zia, what do you think?
That's amazing. Oh my god. I'll let Peach explain why we're freaking out about that. I'll give my opinion. I know way more about Ice than I'm going to lead on here. I like big, great swords, and it's an execution sword, and it's big. Other question is, are we considering the fact...
What the fuck?
That's a URL. Are we considering the fact about what happens to Ice afterwards with the 2 other swords, or no? Or were we taking Ice its own sword?
Ice is its own sword.
It's easily S tier because I like great swords, but also thematically it's really cool. There's really good things. Even in the show they do this because they didn't fuck up season 1. Even in the show it's good because thematically Ice is great. Ned's story and begins with the beheading, ends with the beheading with his own sword. It's all thematically rich. It's fucking cool. It's Ice is a cool name, really great. It's all good. Like,
this was the question I wanted to ask Peach. That's giant. That's a very large sword.
Oh yeah, that's not even a two-handed sword. That's a fucking, like, that is a ceremonial sword. That shouldn't be held by anyone on a battlefield.
But even in the book, isn't it described as being like 5 inches wide or some shit? Fucking huge.
Yeah, that it's like
you're supposed to be able to like have an adult hand put their hand on the side of the blade and it be the same size.
Okay, because Ice is described as a two-handed greatsword that was so big you had to, like, Ilan Payne had to strap it to his back. He couldn't wear it at, like, his hip because it was so long.
Yeah, it's like, it's as tall as a person. A sword shouldn't be as tall as a person.
Yes, it should. Absolutely. Very.
Anime
Ned holds it, like, you can find an image of Ned holding it, like, point in the ground, and the hilt is at his fucking, like, nose.
Okay, well, tell that to Cloud from Final Fantasy.
Anime of Ice and Fire, you know.
George
Yeah,
is an
Ilan
anime
Payne-
guy.
Ilan Payne should have just thrown it over his shoulder and said some nothing personnel kid before he shot Ned's head off.
Oh my god. So, do one of you want to explain why Miranda was so correct, or I can take that one?
Zia, you sounded excited.
Oh, I mean, I didn't care. I was excited just because I liked Ice. It's a big sword. You guys will say it so much better, but maybe it'll be funny if I try to explain it. So the entire thing is that a game of the Song of Ice and Fire is thematically there's the elements of ice and fire, which can be interpreted as the Targaryens and the Starks, ice and fire. And then in this way, saying that it is an opposite of Dawn is that Dawn is seen as the sword of Azor Ahai, which is literally a flaming sword in like mythology. So having ice be like the opposite of it is quite literal. And it works thematically. I bet there's something I'm missing there, but kind of that's the general idea of why it was so funny that Miranda said the ice is the opposite, but the same of Dawn.
Yeah.
And then there's some other stuff with the Danes too, I think, that they could explain better.
Yeah, so like story-wise, spoilers. So Ned is from House Stark and he like wields ice once he becomes the Lord of Winterfell. But he purportedly killed Arthur Dayne, who was the last Sword of the Morning. And like one of the things that he did during the rebellion was returning the sword Dawn to House Dayne. So there was this thematic connection between both swords with Ned. And like, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. Oh my, wait, somebody write this down. Somebody, I mean me. This is, folks in the audience, this is going to be a theory video. Thank you, Miranda, for such an enormous contribution to the channel. Also, everybody, again, go check out that video that I'm going to link in the description of the milk glass theory, because we do also talk about this thematic difference that potentially, like, you know, if some swords are designed to kill others, what sword might you use to kill a dragon? Question mark. But yeah, Miranda, this is amazing. How many are we at now? 1, 2, 3. Like, you're 7 for 7 at this point. So definitely you should plug your stuff at the end at the very least. But anyway, moving on to Lady Forlorn. Miranda, what do you think about that one?
So apparently my brain is just thinking in axes today, because this feels the opposite of Dark Sister. Definitely not assassin vibes.
Oh, goddamn. Oh, that was amazing. Zia, what do you think about Lady Forlorn?
I forget whose weapon this is. Let me think for a second. But it just sounds like a Tyrell weapon. I forget who it is, but it just sounds like a Tyrell Valyrian sword. Even though, I don't know. I don't even know if they have Valyrian sword. I don't know. This one I'm totally clueless on. Yeah, I'm just clueless on this, because I forget who it is.
You're on a sort of the right track. Peach, do you know this one?
I do know this one.
Lay it on us.
So, this one's not in the show. This is from the Vale, actually. This is from the Corbreys. Lady Forlorn is a Valyrian steel sword. He's an anime protagonist. The sword has a kind of neat history. The sword does have a neat history, but its current owner is a bit of a chud.
He's a major chud.
Lynn Corbray is a chud, but it fought during the Blackfire rebellions. And it fought against Blackfire. And it's like there's a fucking folktale in one of the Duncan Egg stories that they're like, oh yeah, two Valyrian steel swords clashing on the battlefield. You could hear it for miles around. So that's pretty cool.
Well, that makes it way cooler. That
Whoa.
makes
Like it crossed paths with Blackfire.
But Miranda was right. It is like the opposite of Dark Sister vibes, or the opposite of Assassin vibes, because Lynn Corbray, he killed Prince Lewin Martell,
Yes.
who is Kingsguard, but he killed Lewin like after he had already been wounded. It was like an execution, and so Lynn Corbray likes to stand on that like he's some great fighter. But so exactly, Lady Forlorn was used not in an assassin way, but like in a clumsy battlefield execution kind of way. So Miranda once again was absolutely correct.
This is crazy. She's more spot on than I could ever be.
So where are we putting her?
Current owner is a chud, despite its cool history.
C then? D. I don't know.
In between C and D.
Yeah, just put it in between.
Miranda, break the tie. C or D?
C, because of the Valyrian shit you said.
Lamentation. Miranda, what do you think about Lamentation?
It sounds like ceremonial in the same way that ice was supposed to be.
And where would you put it hypothetically?
Hypothetically, I just need something to be in the B slot.
Zia, what do you think?
I also forget whose sword this is, but the word like lament or lamentation, I really like it. It rolls off the tongue. It's very aesthetic, so I put it in A.
Peach, do you know whose sword this was?
I do not remember.
For once, I don't feel left out.
I do not remember this fucking sword.
Yeah, so this one's a deep cut. Sir Willem Royce wielded Lamentation during the Dance of the Dragons. He was one of the 7 who rode to rescue Prince Joffrey Velaryon from the riot in King's Landing, but was killed when a man leaped down from a rooftop to land on his back. Lamentation was torn from Willem's hand and carried off, never to be found again. However, some rumors claim that Sir Warwick Wheaton slashed a wing off of Syrax with a Valyrian steel sword, likely Lamentation, during the storming of the Dragon Pit. So it was the sword of House Royce, and we stand House Royce.
True, so A tier. Still where I'm putting A tier, yeah.
Miranda Royce is, like, actually one of my favorite characters. Are we okay with A, everybody?
Sure. Again, I don't know this sword.
This is Peach's least strong opinion. I think I have stronger opinions about the sword than Peach does. Is this the only mention ever of this weapon, by the way? Is that like a little blurb from Fire and Blood?
I believe so. Okay, what do we think about Just Made? If we were to go first to Miranda.
I feel like this one's pretty dorky. It feels like, the car emergency kits that are branded like just in case?
Uh-huh.
That's what this feels like.
Oh my god. I love it.
Prefab swords.
Zia, do you remember this one?
No, I don't. Well, let me think. Just Made. I mean, I don't think it's Brienne's. I forget what the fuck Brienne's original, or if she even has one. I don't think she gets one until Jaime gives her.
You're actually kind of close.
Really? Unless this is some like name that it like the Baratheon or Renly would name it or something like that Renly named. Kind of a dork name. I mean, I feel like it could be named like depending on who names it, it would be a really cool name. But also depending on who else names it. Here's my thing: if a woman named it, it could be very cool. If a man named it, really lame. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
That's my mind. Is if this was named by like a cool badass woman, I'd be like, yeah, that makes total sense. It's like a subversion. But I feel like if a man does, it's like weird.
It changes the meaning of both words.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I'm assuming it's about like justice and like being right. So in that way, it alternates between like D or A for me, or maybe even E.
Okay. What do you think, Peach?
You got 2 in a row for me that I do not fucking recognize.
Wow.
Yeah, I only remember this one again because it came up in A Song of Feuds and Families. So this is the sword that Brienne tells Dick Crab about when she's traveling with him and Podrick. And the maiden is said to have fallen in... The maiden, like the god, is said to have fallen in love with Sir Galadon of Morn. Of Morn? Okay, I just had another theory. Somebody write this down. I'll write this down. Dawn, Dorn, Morn, Morning. Hold on, guys. This is good. Crazy conspiracy theory. Sir Galadon of Morn, who was called the Perfect Knight, as a token of her love, she gave him the Just Made, a sword which could not be stopped by shield or sword. According to legend, Galadon only unsheathed the sword 3 times, not once against a mortal man, for the fight would have been unfair. Galadon is said to have slain a dragon with the Just Made. So this is now 2 swords that are related to mourning, that are dragon-killing swords.
Yeah. I think A tier just because Brienne mentioned it. I like Brienne, so.
I do like Brienne. But Miranda was correct, because Dick Crab's response to this was like, that's dorky as hell. If I had a magic sword, I'd use it all the time. What the hell was he thinking?
Yeah, but it goes back into the old style of traditional fantasy mythology that Gurm loves to put into his story. Just to have characters that's fucking stupid, you know?
but I just love it that Miranda caught that. Again, for everybody in the audience, Miranda has not read these books, and she's just shot for shot calling all these swords. I love this.
Again, I don't know this sword. I'm looking up who the House Morn is.
Peach frantically searching a wiki of Ice and Fire on
I'm like, who the fuck is this?
But no, Zia. But yes, Zia, you are both correct and incorrect. Miranda, what do you think about Lightbringer?
Also dorky in a similar to Dawnbreaker way.
Yes!
It's like the combination in my brain between Dawn and Bright Roar.
Okay, from a mythological, astrological perspective, can you tell me anything about Lightbringer? I didn't mean to put you on the
you're
spot.
gonna have to lead me into this.
The Morning Star.
Okay, yes, very Venusian.
Yeah.
Venus is very... There is the Persephone thing with the Morning Star and the Evening Star.
Oh, you'll have to remind me about Persephone. Is that Hades' wife?
Yes.
Okay.
Like the descent to the underworld type shit.
So death.
And then also the opposite.
Yeah. You mean Lightbringer is the Antichrist? You mean Azor Ahai is the Antichrist? By the way, Libras are not Satan, everybody. Libras are great. So
I forgot about Lucifer.
Yeah. So now that I've kind of given it away, Zia, what do you think about Lightbringer?
I knew all that stuff already. Lightbringer, the problem with Lightbringer, I made the joke that don't we already have this 3 times on the list? Because the whole thing about Lightbringer is we don't actually know what it is as a sword. And we just have 80 different theories that every other named sword is all actually Lightbringer. Or that, what's the really funny one? That Rhaegar's penis is Lightbringer? That's the other one, you know?
Oh god, yeah.
I love that this fits in with the Libra thing. Because Libras are very mirror type shit. And chameleon type shit.
This feels like a personal attack now.
It's not.
Rhaegar a Libra? Holy shit. I don't even know where to put Lightbringer because it's actually unrankable. You can't really put it because it's all mythological. It's all baked into tons of theories. I don't think I could put this with any actual bias.
But it's just vibes based.
Believe me, you can rank mythological things.
It's kind of boring, but I'll go with B, I think.
Wait, where do we put Just Made?
I think we forgot to rank it.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in B.
So we have something in B.
You.
Well, and also because it's a dragon killing sword, but the name is dorky, so I feel like it balances out. But Peach, what do you think about Lightbringer?
I agree with Zia. It's tough to rank it because it's not a real fucking sword. It's a mythology thing, which I guess Just Made is too. Lightbringer sucks. Lamau, it's already on the list, but Dawn is a real tangible thing that we can rank. Lightbringer is just a concept, and it could be, a penis. It could be a dragon. It could be something we haven't even fucking come across yet.
Listen, all of those descriptions put it in the high rank category though.
No, but it's a Rhaegar's penis.
Rhaegar's penis makes it bad.
It's on the same tier as Lynn Corbray penis.
Oh god.
I'm good with F then.
Yeah. What do you think about Lion's Tooth, Miranda?
It sounds a lot cooler than Bright Roar. It's giving me vibes of someone who doesn't actually like to kill people, but has to.
Okay.
If I think of a way to elaborate on that, I will.
No, I follow. Zia, what do you think? Lion's Tooth.
Lion's Tooth isn't the dagger name, is it?
No.
Or I don't even know if the Valyrian dagger has a name, does it? The one
No, that's
used
why
for-
Gladys calls it Peter's dagger.
Oh my god, yeah.
Shout out to Gladys. Hope you're doing okay, buddy.
I actually don't know who this. I just know that it's a Lannister because it's Lion's Tooth, like very clear, like a Lannister's name. So it can't be higher than D because it's Lannisters. And I cannot fathom a Lannister who is subtle enough that they. Well, no, I could definitely see a Lannister be like, I have to kill people when they absolutely do not need to kill people, you know. But that's where I feel like D. It's still cooler than Bright Roar because at least it has a little bit of like an intrigue to it. Like, oh, Lion's Tooth, that's kind of a cool name, you know. Similar vibes like a Dragon Tooth or something. But again, Lannister, so not as cool.
Where do you land on this, Peach?
It is a Lannister. This is Joffrey's first sword before he gets Heart Eater. This is the sword that in the show we see Arya 3-point into the river.
Fuck, I forgot.
An 8-year-old girl the size of a wet rat managed to disarm you and throw your sword in the river.
Does that mean it's S tier now? Okay.
Yeah. No, the sword itself belonged to Joffrey, though, so that kind of knocks it down a peg. The
Actually-
stick that Arya beat his ass with, that's S tier.
Yeah, real. Arya's stick is S tier, Lion's Tooth S tier.
I really like how it's framed in the show, that she's kind of just like, eh, and that's how it goes in the river. Yeah, keep in mind, this is the crown, for you, Miranda, this character that she beats the fucking bricks out of is the
I
crown
remember
prince
that.
and has been training, with a sword since he could hold a fucking sword because he's the crown prince. And an 8-year-old girl fucking beat the brakes off of him.
I remember that scene particularly.
Very funny. And she also gets her puppy to bite his ass.
I think the puppy just does that. But I loved Renly's response. This Joffrey's purported uncle. And he's like, Lion's Tooth. Ha ha ha. Just like making fun of it the whole way.
What a shit stir. Love him for that.
Honestly, I feel like Renly would not have been a bad king. And I know that's maybe a mildly spicy take, but he was politically savvy. He'd been the master of laws. He knew how to, win the hearts of the people, negotiate among the larger houses. The only person who didn't want Renly to be king was Stannis. That, like, if Stannis had just been like, I don't want to be king, Ned would have been fine with it. I don't know. We could talk about... What were we
But
talking?
Renly let a girl into his Kingsguard.
I feel like that's just more points in his favor.
He's just
I'm-
really cool. It's the coolest girl.
Yeah. We need...
I'm playing off of the, chuds of Westeros going, ew!
Oh, I meant like chuds of the fandom.
Oh, well, yeah, them
Fair.
too.
True.
Yeah, but Renly was so cool that even people like Randall Tarley just accepted it. That's just how cool Renly was. Are you okay with a D for Lion's Tooth, Peach?
Sure. It can sit there with Joffrey's other bullshit.
I like my consistency in how I characterized Heart Eater and Lion's Tooth.
I actually do like Rhaenyra's because I feel like Joffrey would definitely be like, he would pretend like he would have to murder people when he didn't have to, even though he definitely would not have to. You know what I mean?
Well, and I was thinking too that he was hanging out with Sandor Clegane a lot when he named that sword, and Sandor is definitely a person who only kills when he has to. And I know everybody's going to bring up Micah. If you're a fan of my channel, you've heard this take before. I think Clegane truly believed that Micah had tried to kill Joffrey, and Micah was 2 years older and bigger than Joffrey. And as Joffrey's sworn shield, he'd been ordered to do it. Does that make it okay? No, but I feel like that makes it significantly better. But anyway, sorry, Zia.
He did laugh about it though afterwards.
Okay, but
So,
that is part of his whole facade. He has survived at court by acting like an asshole. And that's how he was able to protect Sansa, because everybody thinks he's this malicious, sarcastic asshole. Meanwhile, he's keeping her safe.
You know that part in House of the Dragon where one of the Cargills is Aegon's sworn sword? And he's like, hey, the guy I'm a sworn sword to is kind of a dick, so I'm going to leave?
That's exactly what the Hound did after the Blackwater. Like,
No, he left because he got scared of fire.
okay, but he was also undermining Joffrey to protect Sansa. We did a whole breakdown about this. I am going to include this as part of the video. So Joffrey starts out like being a little shit at the start of the story, but we see a real ramping up in his like sociopathy and penchants for violence after the start of the first book. And it's also at this point that we see Sandor's loyalty transfer from Joffrey to Sansa, right? So as Joffrey is becoming more violent and shitty, Sandor is becoming less and less loyal to him and more loyal to Sansa and the Starks. Well, the Stark daughters, at least, Sansa and then Arya. Because Eric Cargill didn't abandon Aegon right away. It was like as he was about to become king. And, you know, like it was after years that Eric Cargill eventually abandoned Aegon too. So I do think it's a comparable situation. I mean, I don't know if Eric Cargill killed any 14-year-olds, but anyway, I'm a Sandor stan. He's my problematic fave. Leave me alone.
We all have them.
I'm a challenge your problematic fave with one small caveat.
All right.
This may be me misremembering. They just asked for Micah to be killed, right?
Yeah.
Why did he run him down on a horse?
We don't actually know that he did it, and I know this is Cope.
Oh my god. All right, problematic fave. I'm not changing your mind on this.
Yeah, no, I know it's Cope, but okay, but here's the thing. R'hllor found Sandor.
Wait, what the fuck?
Hold on.
Wait.
This is important.
We're going just right into it.
I've said this before. People who are fans of my channel have heard this take on like every live streaming collab that I've ever done. So Beric Dondarrion challenges or like puts Sandor on trial, and nobody can name a victim of his. He says, you can't put me on trial for everybody the Lannisters have killed. The only name that was put forward of somebody he didn't kill in battle was Micah. That was from Arya. And now remember, Beric Dondarrion has been brought back to life by the Red Priest, by Thoros of Myr, who is a believer of R'hllor, and they are doing a trial by combat in the eyes of the Weirwoods because they are in this fey cave with the Weirwood roots, but also in the eyes of R'hllor with the fire, because Beric Dondarrion is wielding both, right? So Beric Dondarrion bearing down on Sandor with a flaming sword, and we know that fire is the thing he is most afraid of. Sandor's shield catches fire, and he still beats Beric Dondarrion in this trial by combat. And we know that typically a trial by combat is just about who's the better fighter. Like this is the case with Bronn. But the difference is, and I'm keeping this, I might just make this its own little short. The trial by combat was in the Godswood of the Eyrie, where we know the gods aren't, because the Weirwoods don't grow at the top of the mountain at the Eyrie. So it was a trial by combat with no gods present. Meanwhile, Sandor's trial by combat, we have Bloodraven, the old gods, and R'hllor all judging him, and they found him innocent. And whether it's because he thought he was doing the right thing, or whether it's because he's truly sorry for what he did, either way, at this point, Beric Dondarrion, Bloodraven, the old gods, and R'hllor have all absolved him of that crime. So that's where I'm at. I'm sorry that took 10 minutes.
Has the receipts. Oh my god.
Can I print out my own receipts?
I mean, he did run down a child on his horse. I'm not denying that he did that. Except maybe somebody else did it and he took credit.
What, like a fucking carriage? Like, so he's running, like, to catch Micah, and a carriage, like, from another pathway runs the kid down, and he just slings him over the horse and brings him back.
Maybe you can... Well, okay, but so think about this. If you're somebody's sworn shield, and you've been ordered to kill the person who, like, attacked the crown prince, and, like, somebody else does it, are you going to take credit? Because, like, that was your job as the sworn shield of the crown prince.
Wait, is this actually your take?
No, I'm just asking you. Like, I'm going to stop. We're going to stop this.
This has been a long side tangent.
Welcome to the Mirror Reads channel.
You gotta stop bringing up Sandor Clegane.
Bunch of fucking bullshit. I'm sorry, everyone.
Anyway, so Longclaw.
Anyway, so Longclaw.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we need to get back on track.
Yeah.
Anyway, Longclaw.
What do you think of Longclaw, Miranda?
So, Longclaw, it feels on the same tier as Bright Roar. Like, they tried too hard with the name. But I'm also, like, reaching delirium.
If you need to dip out, we totally understand.
I'm interested. Don't get me wrong. I'm still invested.
I promise Peach and I will not go off on any more Sandor tangents.
Sandor tangents, yes. Other tangents, I cannot promise.
I'll call them
thing.
Sangents. Sorry. Zia, what do you think? I know you know Longclaw.
Yeah, Longclaw's a cool one. It's got a fucking wolf. Wait, I forget. Does he put a wolf head on it after he gets it? Yeah, because Jura gets a head like a wolf on it. Then when he gives it to Jon, it's Jon's sword. It's cool. It's fucking Jon. We like Jon Snow. Yeah, I don't know. If he's gonna use it to stab Dany or something, I don't know.
He should definitely stab Dany.
Yeah,
I think he should stab Dany with the prophecy knife.
Yeah, oh god, even better. You're so right. With the Peter's knife. Yeah.
Kill the dragon.
Tiger's knife. I mean, it's cool. I don't want to say the Mormonts are always interesting, so it's their sword. It's still really fucked up that he just gives it to a random bastard. Well, not really necessarily random, but he gives it to, a bastard in the Night's Watch. But there's all the interesting stuff between Jorah and his dad.
They're grooming you for command.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. But I don't know, hey, it's Jon's sword. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. I bet Peach has way more.
Why do you keep saying it like that?
I just assume you will. I bet there's something that I haven't thought about, or there's something in the books that's, like, interesting with it. But, like, is that it, Peach? It's cool. That's less than what I said.
No, Longclaw's great. Comes from Jorah Mormont after, Jon pulls a little shenanigans killing the Whites that were inexplicably sent to assassinate the Lord Commander, which is a whole fucking thing. Very cool. Gets fashioned in the shape of a direwolf instead of a fucking bear, which also very funny that he took it with him to took it with him to the Night's Watch. Like, that's like a fucking $1 trillion sword. Like, there's 200 of them in Westeros or something. This Valyrian steel, just incredibly, rare, precious thing that should stay in a house's lineage. He just fucking took it with him to the end of the world where they're not allowed to have kids.
Well, I think the reason why is because I don't think he had any male heirs aside from Jorah, right?
Yeah, he said Mage brought it to him after Jorah's, betrayal.
Yeah, it's just so funny to me that he just keeps it.
Well, Jon needed a sword, and we needed a mechanism to get Jon a sword, and now it's the Night's Watch sword.
Other cool thing is I like that's Longclaw, and it works for a bear and direwolf. Kind of neat, okay?
Yeah, no, that's very cool that they didn't have to change the name. It's another example of a sword that kind of got a unique design. It's longer than the other swords that the stories use, which is nice because it is described as a bastard sword, which is also nice because Jon is a bastard and it uses a bastard sword. Also, he uses it to kill Janos Slynt, so immediate S tier.
True.
Oh, true. I didn't even...
Ed, fetch me a block. Goes so fucking hard. In the show, it's Ollie, fetch my sword. But in the book, he just goes, Ed, fetch me a block. And I'm like, oh, here we fucking go.
Waiting, 4 or 5 seasons to have Janos get his head cut off? Great.
It's so fucking incredible.
And his thought process going into it, he's like, I could order him tied to his horse. I could order him thrown into the ice cells. And then, it's this pause. And he doesn't say, I could execute him. He just goes, Ed, fetch me a block. And it's like, what? Because you're not expecting it. Jon is walking through all of these, rational alternatives.
And he's also thinking, kill the boy. It's what Aemon told him. He's like, all right.
It also mirrors beheadings of other Starks throughout the series? Holy shit.
Janos Slynt betrayed Starks. Stark kills Janos Slynt. Swings and roundabouts.
Oh, I was talking more about how beheadings are thematically. About how each Stark does their own beheading. Where, Ned begins it. Robb does his own, right? With Cost Stark. And then Jon does... Does he do more than just one beheading? I think he does. But at least he does the beheading with Janos. So, they keep emulating. And then Theon also emulates it, too.
Miranda, what do you think of Needle?
S tier. It's an A tier right now. Put it S tier, please.
S tier.
So, fun fact about the delirium, a lot of memories are coming back. I think Needle belongs to Sneaky Boy, doesn't it?
Oh, I like that
Please
description.
tell me you know who I'm talking about. Please.
I don't, but I really like that description for who it does belong to.
Tell me the name, and then I'll tell you if it's the same person.
Zia, who does Needle belong to?
Needle belongs to Arya Stark.
Who gave her that?
John.
Okay.
Who's also maybe...
Did she use it against that shithead? Or threaten to?
She definitely
I
tells
wish I could.
Hot Pie that she's gonna, like, do something gross.
Fucking love Needle. It's great. I like it's the one of the bonding glues between John and Arya, and it's really great. And I love the scene where I'm immediately S tier by the way here, but I love that it's something that John gives Arya. It's super cool. The show does absolutely fucking nothing with Needle. I fucking hate it. But it's the thing that connects her like identity with John, but also is kind of like the thing that makes her more like a murderer, but also is like her bridge into being more masculine. It's a lot of interesting things for Arya's character. Easy S tier. PJ, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, or if I kind of just said everything about it.
Nah, you knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Zia did it. And so did Miranda with the sneaky boy, because Ari is definitely a sneaky boy.
True. Arya is a sneaky boy sometimes. We love that.
I'm trying to figure out who the sneaky boy that I was actually thinking of was.
It might have been Arya, because she dresses like a boy.
Yeah,
No,
that's like
it was
Arya.
it was a grown person for sure. I just can't figure out any other description.
Is she thinking of Jack and Hagar, maybe? I don't know.
Then the next alphabetically is Nightfall. We'll start with Miranda, but I'm guessing Zia probably doesn't know this one either.
I'll put Nightfall in the same rank as Lamentation.
You said with Lamentation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Zia, what vibes do you get from Nightfall?
I totally forget who Nightfalls is. Because obviously Nightfall sounds like very much like a Dane sword name, but they already have Dawn. I forget if Nightfall is one of the Targaryen ones or not. I'm digging through my memory, like my brain right now, and I'm like, I know what Nightfall is. Like, I know. And I just cannot think of who it is. I recall it being cool, so probably A. We're just gonna go with that on vibes.
Yeah. I like the Nightfall versus Dawn kind of dichotomy again. I feel like Nightfall kind of thematically is similar to Ice in some ways, like in that way, like the Ice and Fire kind of thing. What do you think, Peach?
So, I might be wrong on this. Nightfall is one of the Iron Island Valyrian steel swords, right?
Ding, 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 ding. You get a shiny rock. I will put that in the mail. Send me your P.O. box info.
So, thank you for the rock. Yeah, this is one of the ones that the Iron Islands inexplicably have for some reason. They probably just fucking looted it because they're raiders. But yeah, we don't really fucking know anything about it other than that, right? It's an Iron Island.
Yeah, it belongs
Valyrian
to
steel sword.
House Harlaw. It has a moonstone pommel, which I really like. And Dalton Greyjoy took it from a dead corsair. It is yet unknown how the sword passed to House Harlaw. During the taking of the shield, Sir Harris Harlaw defeats 7 challengers outside Grimston. We stand the Harlaws, right? Roderick the Reader's a Harlaw. Oh, Peter! Thank you, Miranda.
Yes.
Yeah, so Peter's dagger is the prophecy knife.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I feel like there was definitely a time that she threatened him, though. Like,
oh, I'm
with
sure.
the sword.
Because he's terrible.
Sorry to backtrack there. I just had to find out.
No worries.
Ooh. Oh, I was just gonna put my word about Nightfall. I'm still firm on A, by the way, just because I like moons. Moon sounds fucking cool for a pommel. Should we keep talking about Nightclaw or not Nightclaw? Oathbringer or Oathbreaker? Oh my god! Wait, Oathkeeper. My god, sword names.
Yeah.
Nightclaw. I love how we just blended all of them together.
Okay, so Oathkeeper.
Oh, did it fix?
Yeah. I just
so
saved it and...
We're so back. Oh, they look even worse. This is great. Okay.
Do they look worse now?
The ones that are saved look like more fuzzy than the regular text, I think.
Good.
Okay. Slightly fuzzier. I don't know. I
You
think it'll
said
be fine.
good.
Huge.
So, Miranda, before we all lose our minds, tell me about Oathkeeper.
Oathkeeper feels somehow between Dawn and Blackfire, like, energetically.
Okay, like kind of like intense badass.
It feels good, yes.
Okay, Zia, what do you think about Oathkeeper?
S tier, easy, easy S tier. There's no contest. Oathkeeper literally is the melted down sword of ice into Oathkeeper and another sword that we haven't talked about yet. And it's really fucking cool because it's given to Jaime, but then Jaime gives it to Brienne, and Brienne uses the melted down sword that killed Ned in order to honor the oath that she gave to Catelyn to protect her daughters. But then it's also more because it's also about Jaime and Brienne, who I already like, and it's really fucking cool. And it's about like Brienne kind of learning about like being like a true knight, and it's all fucking neat. And also the fact that Jaime is known as, the Kingslayer and an Oathbreaker. And so it's important that he's like trying to keep an oath and help Brienne keep her oath to Catelyn. But then it's also interesting because it gets messy with Lady Stoneheart and all that shit. So cool. It's just good. All thematically really cool. S tier, easy.
Oh, S tier.
Oh yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay, Paige, what do you think?
So, yeah. I agree, Zia.
Yeah.
One thing I like about Oathkeeper is it's got a hue. So again, something they didn't do in the show, but when they reforge ice into Oathkeeper and another sword, they get a splash of color, which most of the Valyrian steel swords are like gray or like smoky black, or it's like all like very drab colors. And when they reforge it, because, forging Valyrian steel and reforging it is, a whole like secret trade. When they reforge it, it's got like blood red in the blade in the books. And it's something they didn't do in the show. It just looks like a cool sword. But like it's like got a golden handle in the books, and it's got like a blood red like blade, and it's sick. Plus, the idea of it being given to Brienne as a way of fulfilling Jaime's promise that he cannot fulfill himself, and, beginning his path as an Oathkeeper is pretty fucking slay.
I didn't know about that, about the sword thing, the color thing. That's fucking sick, and I like that. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Also, I think that's interesting though, because you can interpret that because I think at the point where Jaime gets, is it in season 2 or 3? It's in 2, right? Because it's like the opening cold shot of season 2, right?
It's in season 4.
Is it in 4 that he gets it?
What?
Wait, what am I thinking? Hold up.
The Red Wedding doesn't happen until 3. Tywin isn't back in King's Landing until season 3.
Oh, 2, 3. I don't know. I'm like thinking about it. Fuck.
Yeah.
I was gonna say no. That makes sense. I'm like thinking about the chronology. I'm like, what the fuck am I thinking about?
Brienne would have gotten the sword at the beginning of season 5.
Jaime and Brienne are back in the capital until season 4.
My brain.
Oh, okay. Can we talk about the most egregious thing? Like, I knew the show was starting to suck ass when Jaime and Brienne get to King's Landing and Sansa is still fucking there. I was like, how did you fuck this up this badly? Like, the whole point, the whole reason that they are innocent of, like, not fulfilling their oath to Catelyn is because she was literally already gone when they got there. But, like, showrunners didn't care. They didn't care. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop. Game of Thrones only had 3 seasons.
Oh my god.
I'm so
I was
angry.
gonna keep shrinking it down.
I was just gonna say, I think it's cool making the sword red because even though that could be interpreted like Jaime being somebody who kills a lot of people, instead you could think of like oath by blood or something like that. I don't know. Sounds like a cool detail. Maybe I'm reading into it too much.
It's red because he's Darth Vader, and now it looks like a lightsaber.
Well, and also I like that, like, Tywin's will couldn't be fully exerted over the sword because he kept trying to get Tobomot to, like, continue dyeing it. And he's like, I did it over and over and over, but there are just certain patterns in it that wouldn't take the dye. Because Tywin is used to, like, getting everything he wants and everybody doing what he tells them, but his will could only be exerted so far over the Valyrian steel, and I thought that was very cool.
That's such a cool tidbit. Why wasn't that in the show? Oh god.
See?
Because they were fucking boring with the swords. They were so fucking boring with the swords. Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare.
The shows are so... This is why people think Tywin is cool, because the show actually made Tywin seem so much more competent than he was, and missed the part of showing Tywin being a fucking idiot, right?
Yeah, he's
I mean,
like,
he
we
wasn't
need
really an-
rubies. Like, you know, garnets are too cheap. We gotta have rubies in the eyes.
He's just like the paramount example of I'm gonna say the word. I'm gonna say the words toxic masculinity. He's like just the prime example of might making right, leading to you dying on a fucking toilet.
Ha.
Anyway, how'd this soapbox get in here?
All right, I'm in charge of this freight train. We got a couple more, and then we can all go night-night. We got Red Rain. Also, if we want to go night-night before that, we can, like, stop it literally any time. This is just for fun.
We haven't even gotten to Widow's Wail. That's the other big one.
Oh, Widow's... Yeah, so, like...
Red Rain, put it next to Nightfall.
Wait, I can't remember what... Wait, we gotta get Miranda's take.
So now I don't want to say what I thought. This is why I'm supposed to go first.
Okay, I can't
So
remember Red
felt
Rain.
really bad. Red Rain feels very similar to Heart Eater to me.
That's interesting. Okay, Peach, what was your take?
It's another Iron Islands stolen Valyrian steel
Oh,
sword.
I did get my... I was gonna say, it sounds like an Iron Islands one. I was gonna say, the only thing I could think of is Dalton Greyjoy, because it's Red Kraken. And it sounds like something he'd use. Which means it's probably like D or even E.
Miranda was correct, though. Fans theorized that it originally came from House Rain, and that was why it was called Red Rain, because the Iron Islands would raid the Westerlands. And the coat of arms of House Rain depicts a red lion. So, there we go. We'll put it in D with the other lion swords.
Wait, is that all we know about it?
The sword came into possession of House Drum when Hilmar Drum took the blade from an armored knight, with nothing but his wits and a wooden cudgel. From then on, he was called Hilmar the Cunning. But it's speculated that he took it from a knight from House Rain. Yeah, so Red Rain, where are we putting it?
Probably also D. I don't know. This one I feel like I have such a non-opinion about.
I feel like D is good if we don't have an opinion. Let's just do Widow's Wail and call it a night. I think we're all falling asleep.
We don't know anything about Red Rain. It's just a sword that got stolen.
Then why did you say A at first?
Because I'm just saying put it next to Nightfall, because it's another stolen sword. I'll be honest, I don't know why Nightfall's an A.
Because I like it.
Because it has a moon on the pommel, that's why.
Because it has a moon on the pommel, and there was a little symbolism, and Victarion is afraid of it. And House Harlaw is way cooler than House Drum. But anyway, how do we feel about Widow's Wail, Miranda?
Widow's Wail feels energetically similar to Lady Forlorn. And that's just because sad shit, I guess.
I mean, that does make sense. What do you think, Zia?
I think for consistency's sake, we gotta put it in D, next to Heart Eater and Lion's Tooth. Though maybe even lower, because Joffrey turns ice into super fucking lame sword. I don't know what happens to Widow's Wail after Joffrey dies. Does it get, like, passed on? I don't know.
I feel
Also,
like the location of Widow's Wail currently is, like, TBD. I believe.
I don't know what it even looks like color-wise. So
Audience, correct me in the comments. Everybody tell me how wrong we all are. Leave lots of comments telling me I'm wrong.
Comments, point and laugh. Throw tomatoes. We'll put her in the stockade.
But just me. Everybody else, all of my friends here are correct and smart. Just only tell me that I'm wrong.
Please don't hurt my feelings.
Be nice to my friends.
I'm perfect.
That's true. You did right at the very beginning. You said you don't know shit about shit. And you've actually known a lot of things.
And I've known a lot of shit.
I was gonna say Miranda's more correct on some of these than I was, so I'm like, what the fuck do I know? I'm just a fake fan.
Listen, like, my memory didn't even kick in until I started getting like wild sleepy.
So now we know how to tap into Miranda's true psychic literary potential, is to just deprive her of sleep.
This could go many ways.
Yeah, don't actually do this. Everybody at home, get enough sleep for your brain health.
Loser.
Or something like that.
I deprive myself of both oxygen and sleep to get the best theories to come out of me.
And food, you're just fasting almost. There you go.
I'm literally fasting.
Wait, what color is Widow? Wait, what is Widow's Wail color? I'm actually curious. Do
Red.
we know? It's red. So is it also just the same look as?
As Oathkeeper, yeah.
Oh, that's even more boring. So it's just a worse Oathkeeper.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
'cause
shitty
it's
Oathkeeper. So
Joffrey's.
here we have the parallel. Oathkeeper is like on the line between A and S, and then Widow's Wail is on the line between E and F.
Oh yeah, I thought it was gonna be like interesting and like look a little bit different, but no, it's dumb name, dumb character. Well, not a dumb character, but dumb name, shitty character, does nothing.
It chops up a book that there's only like fucking like 5 of them in existence.
Nice.
Joffrey's see you next Tuesday.
You reminded me about the book thing, so now it's an F.
Worse than Bright Roar.
That was so
Yeah,
upsetting.
Yeah, Tyrion's like, oh, here's this like giant fucking book that, you know,
The Lives
Maester's
of Four
probably
Kings.
slaved away. It's Lives of Four Kings, yeah. Maester's probably slaved away for months putting this shit together.
Illuminated in Septon so-and-so's own hand. There were only 4 copies in the world. But Joffrey's like, now there are 3. Ugh. Okay, I'm gonna breathe and not remember
That
those
was
chapters.
his voice.
Oh. Whenever I do a reread, I have to like very carefully skip around the Purple Wedding and the trial. Like, I know I need to read the trial again at some point, but it's just like so difficult. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement on Widow's Wail. We got Vigilance, and then I think we'll call it. What do you think of Vigilance, Miranda?
Vigilance? Originally, I was thinking it was kind of like feeling similar to Oathkeeper, but I'm kind of feeling it similar to Just Made.
Ooh, that's interesting. What do you think, Zia?
pretty similar. I actually don't know who this is. I almost want to say this is like gonna be like some cringy Knight's Guard one, though I don't know. But Vigilance makes it sound like super LARPy, like a Batman LARPer, like I am the Knight, you know? But they're like somebody who's really justice, but they're really just kind of a tool, you know? Similar, like, you know, to Darkstar. Probably very, very similar vibes to Just Made, but probably more cringe than that.
Okay, so like Lady Forlorn level of cringe?
Yeah,
Okay.
easily.
What do you think, Peach?
I do not remember this one.
This was another Fire and Blood sword. This was a Hightower sword. Ormond Hightower wielded the blade during Dance of the Dragons. Oh, spoilers for later seasons of House of the Dragon. Zia, you don't want those, right?
No, I read all of the wiki for Dance of the Dragons.
Oh, okay. Then spoilers for everybody else. Yeah, so Ormond Hightower fought on the side of Aegon II after the battle in the Honey Wine. He used it to knight Prince Daeron, dubbing him Sir Daeron the Daring. Lord Ormond was killed by Roderick Dustin, Lord of Barrowton. Oh, he was killed by Roderick Dustin during the first Battle of Tumbleton. It's unknown what happened to Vigilance afterward. That's interesting. Whenever the Dustins do something, it's interesting. Yeah, so actually, I feel like this is actually a good spot for it, like right there.
I just think slightly higher, and not gonna lie, I think Vigilance, now that I know it's the High Towers, I don't know if that makes it worse or better, because I think Vigilance is a very funny sword name for the High Towers,
And
right?
I did think it was funny that Miranda compared it to Just Made, because it's a very, like, high-towery kind of, I'm better than you, meh, meh, meh.
Yeah, well, it's Vigilance,
So was
also
Just
the
Made
fact
a
they are
High
literally on
Tower?
a high tower. You know?
So was Just Made a Hightower one too? Because I don't remember now.
No, Just Made was like a legendary sword, but it was very much of this, I'm doing things the right way. I only used it 3 times. I don't use it to fight men. I only use it to kill dragons. Meh, 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 I'm better than you. And then,
Fair.
yeah, I feel like Brienne and the Hightowers do have some, like, Alicent Hightower from the show. I feel like she and Brienne have some things in common of like, I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, except Brienne doesn't get vindictive about it, or at least hasn't yet. But anyway, I think we're all kind of dead on our feet at this point. I really appreciate all 3 of you coming over to do this crazy thing with me. It's been just a ton of fun. Thank you, everybody who has tuned in to watch this fantastic video where we ranked all the swords. And I think you can actually see them all now, which is great. Before we sign off, I would like to give all of the guests an opportunity to remind the audience, who you are, anything you want to plug, pages that you run, channels that you have on any kind of social media. It doesn't have to be YouTube. I know Peach is going to be...
Shut up. Nightmare.
doing something, TBD, which Peach can come back and plug later, another time. Miranda, did you want to plug your page?
Sure. I'm Miranda and I don't know shit about shit, but I'm pretty fucking psychic. And I have a page for shit like that on Facebook called Chiron's Gift.
And as she just demonstrated, she's psychic as fuck. So please go check that out. I will be linking Chiron's Gift in the description. Zia, did you have anything?
Nothing yet. I don't know. Maybe I'll do YouTube one day. Maybe. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Now that you've done it once and you're like, oh, if Mira can do it, it's got to be pretty easy. You just put some stuff in MS Paint.
The worst thing is that I would probably do League of Legends lore, so I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
League of Legends?
Yeah.
The video game?
I'm old. I'm old, Zia. You got to remember I'm old.
I even know what that
Mira,
is.
you've opened a can of worms.